Good evening, everyone. My name is Rick Stevens, and as a life member of the Teachers Guild of New South Wales, it is my pleasure to introduce our honoured guest speaker for this evening. Now, from a scan of your program, you'll immediately recognise Dr. Briony Scott as an inspiring and outstanding educator who has contributed to the profession in so many ways. As a teacher, leader, principal, refreshingly outspoken columnist, and strong advocate of girls' education. Apart from her very busy life leading Winona School, Briony serves on the boards for ACL, the Chris O'Brien Lighthouse, AIS New South Wales, and School of Life Foundation. You will also notice that her talents go even further, having worked overseas in systems analysis and emergency rescue. She is committed to upholding our profession, the hard work of our many inspirational teachers, and the need for ethical and wise leadership. Briony, we welcome you tonight not only as our guest speaker, but also as the very worthy recipient of the Teachers Guild Phyllis Evans Medal for 2023, and we very much look forward to your address. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Briony Scott to the stage.
I was trying to look professional, but I went to the gym yesterday and I can't actually move. So it's one of those, so I can stand here in front of you or I can sit here in front of you, but I just can't go up and down stairs. So good evening, Dr. Osman, members of the Teachers Guild, awardees, friends and family. To the Honourable Ministers Carr and Mitchell and to the members of New South Wales Parliament, thank you for coming tonight. We take your presence as a great encouragement. All you have done for us in our schools does not go unnoticed, so thank you. To Mr Dizdar, the Secretary of Education, and Ms Evans, the CEO of AIS, I have witnessed firsthand your investment and engagement in New South Wales schools. Thank you for taking the time to join us and for your unwavering support for our profession. I also acknowledge that we're meeting on the lands of the Darug and the Tharawal people and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. We acknowledge the Indigenous way of education and recognise the power behind two-way learning. We teach and learn. We speak and listen, weaving lessons through metaphors, salt and fresh water, land and sky, telling stories that capture our hearts, melt our objections and help create a new way of viewing the world. It's a great honour to be awarded the Phyllis Evans Medal, and I extend my gratitude to the Guild for this acknowledgement. I cannot accept this without recognising and expressing gratitude for the work of those who have gone before and for current colleagues in our profession who know what it is to work in complex ecosystems in complex times. We are in this together, and I accept this award by giving honour where honour is due to our profession, and I want to thank you. One of the privileges of this award is that I get to speak. In my defence, I did ask Dr. Osman if there was a preferred topic, and his response, bravely, was that it could be whatever I like. So here goes. As we pause to celebrate World Teachers' Day, it's our current way of viewing the world that I would like to question. A view that paints a young generation in crisis, schools that are slightly incompetent and thus need increased oversight, and teachers who are disillusioned, tired, and frankly, not very bright. The motto of the historic Teachers Guild is Docio et Duscum, I teach that I may learn. After decades of teaching, I am still learning. At the very least, every child I think I know keeps growing. Every time I meet them, I'm constantly having to review and adjust my beliefs about who they are. In the slightly modified words of Heraclitus, no child ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and they are not the same child. Young people are changing daily, and my mere presence alters and influences who they are and who they become. I don't know how or to what degree. Throwaway comments on my part can change a life or fall to the ground like a discarded gum wrapper. I too am changed, sometimes in a small way, sometimes profoundly, because of those who cross my path. I'm not the same person I was yesterday. I'm changed by a 5-year-old who accidentally calls me Dr. Seuss instead of Dr. Scott. I'm changed by a family who project their grief over marital breakdown onto my decision to ban chewing gum in the classroom. I'm profoundly changed by the death of every child I have known, or every child who has attempted to take their life on my watch. I'm changed by every child who becomes sick while under my care. I weave and dance my way through the stories and the projections and sometimes the lies that inform the narratives of families who want my help but are so desperately keen, and understandably so, that I do not know about their private and deeply personal challenges. Or who want me to be a secular priest to their loneliness and heartbreak, while I must still insist that their child say please and thank you and learn how to read. I am changed by the stories of my staff and their families who miss their own children's graduations to supervise the graduations of others, or who take on parental criticism for an assignment returned late, whilst knowing they would do anything to have a child of their own. And I'm changed by a child who genuinely hates school and the narrow constraints that institutions by necessity inflict when they know that life is rich and wild and wide. I want them to know that everything will work out, that everything is okay, and that they will thrive when they find their tribe and follow their heart, even if it doesn't seem like it right now. Life is so complex, and people's lives even more so. I must learn to dance and weave and leap and cajole. I cannot get lulled into the binary arguments that threaten education on a daily basis. Private or public, phonics or whole word, primary or secondary, good or bad, us or them, it never ends. The relentless pressure to condemn those who are different from us, who look different, who pray differently, who worship different gods in a different language, practicing different customs, us or them. Rumi, an ancient Sufi poet, states, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing, there is a field. I will meet you there." When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, and even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. Our profession is not some binary argument, an us or them. This is a journey that we are all on to ensure we keep our children alive, then safe, then educated, and in that order. No one person can do this. No one edict or ruling or decision can make this happen. We need everyone in this profession, every teacher, every leader, every decision maker involved, supporting, encouraging, and investing. You, in whatever role you play, are needed. In the immortal and yet abridged words of John Donne, no man is an island entirely of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. I am but one principle. I don't have the answers, but what I am seeing, what I am learning, is that this is not a generation in crisis. They are not the problem, far from it. Young people do have a problem, true, but they are not the problem. The bell tolls for thee. We are interconnected. What is happening to our children is happening because of us, and it is happening to us, and they are us. Young people look to the adults in their world for cues as to how to behave, how to react, how to navigate conflict and differing opinions, how to walk alongside difference, how to deal with failure, how to care for others. Pygmalion in the Classroom, the title of completely unethical research that was conducted in the 1960s and which would never be allowed to happen again, consistently found that children rise to meet the expectations of the adults in their world. Not just what we say, but what we do. Do our words match our actions? Do we have integrity? Are what we say and what we do the same? We cannot place expectations on children that we are not prepared to place on ourselves, and yet we do. The crisis is not with the children, but perhaps more that adults can sometimes be in short supply. My disclaimer is here, of course, that there are good adults, wonderful people, but more than ever we need them, us, to stand up and show what this looks like, because by and large, normal, responsible, kind adults are a silent majority. And for our young people, you cannot be what you cannot see. Someone is raising and influencing our children, and if it's not you, then who? Children look around, and what do they see? Hectoring, defamatory and oft-times derogatory behaviour by adults on the news and in their world, who will not take their heads out of their own phones long enough to explain why they're banning them for young people. Adults who tut-tut at children being rude online, but have no issue sending belligerent emails to teachers and uploading offensive tweets to news broadcasters or death threats to politicians. Adults who throw temper tantrums, who bully and intimidate until they get what they want, and who, whilst bemoaning how anxious our children are themselves living anxious and stressed lives in a world of their making. In Jordan Baker's article in the Sydney Morning Herald last weekend, she quotes a behavioural expert as stating that there is a crisis of adult authority. I would go a step further and simply state that there are far too few adults behaving like adults in the world, and far too many adults behaving like children, except we would never accept this behaviour from our children. Our classrooms, our schools are meant to be a mirror of society. Traditionally, schools were set up to mimic and prepare our students for what happens in the so-called real world, teaching our young people how to exhibit the values and behaviours of adults to which our society subscribes. These days, when behaviours go wrong in the adult world, children are weirdly deemed the problem and schools are told to fix them. Projection in the first degree. So we teach our children how to work hard, how to use mobile phones respectfully, how to be courteous and kind in word and action, how not to resort to violence and aggression, how not to sexually assault or rape someone, how to not drink and drive, not to take drugs, how to teach consent, how to be rational and evidence-based in decision-making, how to practice critical literacy, how to apologise, how to make amends, how to work in community, practice delayed gratification, how to be part of a team, how to shoulder responsibility, to stand up for those who cannot speak, to challenge injustice, how to celebrate the victories of others, to win with humility and to lose with grace. And you know what? Insane and overwhelming though all these expectations are, I don't believe there's a teacher in this room who doesn't believe this to be true. To us, this is the air we breathe and it's the marrow in our bones. And yet, these expectations are not being met in the so-called real world. As a woman, you cannot walk the halls of our national parliament without witnessing or being exposed to sexual harassment. Our church leaders have been silenced, with far too many having taken advantage of innocent children in their care. Our global leaders threaten to grab women wherever they want, whenever they want, and there are no repercussions. People lose elections and they do not lose gracefully. The science of climate change is evident to the most distracted of Year 9 students, and yet there is no evidence adults are doing anything but arguing. Adults use phrases like, "I'm sorry you feel that I may have perhaps offended you," dancing around integrity, playing games with words, rather than just saying, "I'm sorry." Our children are scared of nuclear war, of wild bushfires, of global pandemics. They are scared of adults, of the power we wield and our refusal to stand up to what is wrong. And with good reason. Our children are the rational ones. The issue is not with our children. This generation are not the problem. Our students know how to apologise, to change their mind and to grow. Our students problem solve by making robotic prosthetic limbs for those affected by landmines or disabled by disease. They fundraise for girls' schools in Afghanistan or sit and learn about Indigenous storytelling. They are not perfect, they can actually be challenging at times, but they are giving it their best shot. They are not the issue. They will, however, bear the brunt and the consequences of the actions or inactions of our generation. And this is the issue. Who is role modelling what it means to be a good human? Who is providing the safety and the surety that young people so crave to grow up tall and strong? And this is why teaching, the last bastion of community and generational leadership, is so fundamental to the health of our society, why education matters and matters profoundly. This is why we need to politely take the reins of our profession from those who make naive, binary, diversive and decisions on our behalf, about a world that they know nothing of and of which they have minimal interest. Every time I hear someone pit teacher against teacher, school against school, sector against sector, I think to myself, you do not know what you do. If I could give you one clarion call, it would be this: how you behave, how you speak, how you teach matters. Do not let anyone diminish you or what you are doing. Where schools were once cultural replications of society, they are now countercultural, and defiantly so. Forgive me for now sounding like a 1980s motivational poster. We are committed to living in a different world, where people are respected and honoured, where you can disagree with a person and not make it personal. As leaders in your profession, you are already people who are standing up, speaking out, engaging in best practice, sharing what you know, and refusing to give in to the despondency, the noise, the hubris, and dare I suggest the politics that can sometimes threaten to overwhelm the conversation around the power of education. Our profession needs teachers who are willing to engage, who want to learn, and for those growing encouraged to speak up and out when at times the predisposing narrative can be one of silence or defeat, negativity or aggression. Education is not perfect, but it is a profession of which we should be very proud, and frankly, it's the best solution we have. Our profession needs strong, wise, kind leaders like yourselves who will proactively engage and invest in the next generation, leaders who listen and learn. Our profession needs teachers like yourselves who will step up, speak out, and who will willingly advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves for whatever reason, be it age or otherwise. Our children are not them, they are us. We are one and the same. The bell tolls, and it tolls for thee and for thee and for thee. You are uniquely placed to be a rock, a foundation for our young people that allows them to grow tall and strong. Do not let others dim your flame. And thus tonight, I extend my congratulations to you all for your nominations and awards, for the role you've played in contributing to our profession, for your commitment to excellence, for your dedication to the high standards of which we're very proud. But more than all of this, I extend my congratulations to you all for practicing and reinforcing values that matter, being inclusive in your words and actions, sidestepping our nation's obsession with the binary, dodging the drama, and for role modelling to this generation that they are loved, there is hope, and that you, for one, will not be sitting on the sidelines watching while the world burns. You are their security, their assurance that life is good and that they matter. You are their hope, and on you they will build their dreams. Thank you for all you do. As we move forward, I would encourage you to remember that out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, and I'll meet you there. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Helen Hughes, and I'm a life member of the Guild. And it is my pleasure to thank Dr. Scott for her address this evening. Dr. Scott, you have certainly challenged and stimulated us. I have been aware of how intent you are with the care of the young people whom you're looking after at Winona, and I wondered what your emphasis would be this evening in your address. But you've challenged us and you have stimulated us. I particularly noted your referring to the need for respect for difference, of showing integrity and kindness, seeking to understand and learn from others, including from our young people. And I drew strongly from your talk to the awareness that you're raising for us to watch for negativity in interpretations, and particularly binary interpretations. Having been a principal myself for 14 years, I know the demands of the role and the sheer workload, and I applaud Dr. Scott for taking on numerous influential roles beyond this, as Rick Stevens outlined in his introduction. You're truly honoured this evening in being presented with the Phyllis Evans Award. We older members of the Guild who knew her personally remember her with great respect and affection. So would you please join with me now in thanking and congratulating Dr. Scott. Dr. Scott, we're going to be joined by the Honourable Sarah Mitchell, MLC New South Wales, Shadow Minister for Education and Early Learning and Shadow Minister for Western New South Wales, and Dr. Frederick Osman, our President, will be joining us as well.